Welcome to Travels with Monkey Boy. Sorry, everybody, I've been out of commission for a couple of months. Summer is a challenge going home. Anyway, I want to restart by telling you the story of getting to China. So, traveling is an adventure. You plan your flights, you find your hotels, you study the place for the miracles in the area. You get there and you have a bunch of little adventures, and then you go home. Moving overseas is more like a shipwreck. You land in a strange place. Your suitcases are the things that you salvage off the ship to help you survive. And after you are in full survival mode. How am I going to eat? Where is my shelter? How can I navigate around? Is this thing nutritious or poisonous? Are the local people kind or dangerous? I've been written to this point because, well, it's been really hard. First, the journey was arduous. Our original flight was Green Bay to Chicago with a 4 hour layover in Chicago, then a 14-hour flight to Qatar, then a 9 hour layover in Qatar, then a 12-hour flight to Chengdu. Plan was to leave at 2 p.m. on Sunday and get in 2 p.m. on Tuesday. Plan. Our flight from Green Bay was delayed, and then delayed again, and then delayed again. Ultimately, it was delayed 5 hours, and the guy at the gate kept telling us not to leave because there was no available flights to Chicago for 2 days, and we had to be to Chengdu by Tuesday. Fortunately, I'm a 2 million miler on American Airlines and a lifetime platinum member, so I called the hotline and chatted with a lovely lady who said there was no way to get us to Chengdu unless she Frankensteined it, meaning she put parts here and parts there. The great news is she got us on a 10 p.m. flight from Chicago to London, then a 2 hour layover in London, flight to Qatar, and then join our regular flight to Chengdu. The flight to London was delayed 2 hours. Note there was no weather problems in Chicago. We arrived in London, and those of you that have gone through London Heathrow and wanted to get from Terminal 3 to Terminal 5 know it's a nightmare. As we got off the plane, British Airways helpfully gave us a new itinerary. Now we were flying London to Beijing, Beijing to Chengdu. But we only had an hour to catch our flight. Took us 57 minutes to get to the terminal, including as close to running as I'm capable of doing after a 10-hour flight. From there, the 11-hour flight was fine, and we made it to our final 3-hour flight to Chengdu without a problem. We arrived, of course, without our luggage. We wouldn't see our luggage for another 7 days. China. China has 1.5 billion people. China has the least number of English speakers as a percentage of the population of any country in the world. You are 3 times more likely to bump into an English speaker in Gambia as you are in China. Myanmar has 5 times as many English speakers, and you don't even know Gambia and Myanmar were countries until I just said that. Further, that 0.9% English speakers in China is China as a whole. There are tourist places like Beijing that need to have English speakers for all the tourists. Business centers like Shanghai and Canton, same thing. Chengdu is like Wyoming. It is deep China. If there are 1 in 100 English speakers in all of China, there are 1 in 1,000 in Chengdu. With only 1 in 1,000 speaking English, there's really no point in having signs in English. So the first time in my life, the first time after visiting over 100 countries, that I really felt like so many world travelers feel, completely isolated. Our school liaison got us SIM cards at the airport so our phones would work with limited internet. She then brought us to the apartment and then washed her hands of us. The apartment was furnished, and to help us survive, they had provided us with a welcome package that would allow us to survive for a few days without going to a store. In the package were 1 spoon, 1 fork, 1 knife, 50 rolls of toilet paper, and 200 cherry tomatoes. I'm not sure what advanced intelligence they had on Westerners, but Danielle and I had fun arguing over who got the spoon each day and playing toss the tomato into the toilet roll game. We had to play that game because there was no TV, which they had promised. Our liaison said it would likely be a long time before we got one, as she had more important things to do. The school provided internet, which was terrible, almost unusable, and the phone internet worked fine, except Google, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, etc., are banned websites in China. So basically, the internet without the internet. The rest of our three-bedroom apartment was nice, very comfortable couch to sit and stare at the space the TV should be at, comfortable beds with uncomfortable pillows, an enormous refrigerator that was two-thirds freezer. There was a thing that looked like a microwave, but supposedly performed other functions, which we don't know as directions were only in Chinese. There was a stovetop, which I couldn't even figure out how to turn on. None of it really mattered, though, since we basically just got into the place and collapsed into bed as 48 hours of traveling hits harder as you pass 60. In the shipwreck metaphor, we slept on the beach under the stars. Next day, we got picked up at 7 a.m. to go get our physicals. There were 10 different stations we went to, and they poked and prodded us for about an hour. We were never sure what was going on, but we were sure they were sure. It was all professional, and we seemed to have passed the test, which apparently were mostly looking for tropical or sexual diseases. After the test, we had our first win, and we went to Sam's Club. They took our US Sam's Club card, and it was stocked with things we needed. Our trip out to the ship to find what would be useful. We bought food, we bought a bowl. They had Diet Coke, fresh milk. For a country with something like 90% of the population are lactose intolerant, there was milk, cheese, yogurt, and ice cream everywhere. We bought a coffee maker. The Chinese are not coffee people. They emphasize education and don't drink coffee. The West is doomed. We bought an ice maker, no ice cube trays, and a big TV. Being analytical, Sam's had a big Sony 75-inch television and a big 75-inch Huawei TV. In my early research, I was told that foreign brand electronics were more expensive than in the West, but Chinese-made electronics were cheaper. Since they were the same price, I figured the Chinese one must be super good, so I bought it. I was told that it would be delivered, and they asked me if I wanted it set up. I was confused as what is setting up a TV? Plugging it in. I said no, cue ominous music. The TV came the next day with a delivery man and a helper from the school. They set the TV on the school-supplied TV stand and plugged it in. They proudly showed me that we had access to 120 channels, every single one of them in Chinese with no English subtitles. The school rep then seemed to be concerned and said the TV could not be on the TV stand as it was dangerous. This is all through a little device where we type in words. I called our liaison, who seemed annoyed, and she explained the TV had to be hung on the wall. So we had to pay for the Sam's Club man to set it up at a cost of 300 RMB, about $40. He arrived an hour later, proceeded to drill 20 holes in the wall, and then wanted to speak to the liaison. Turns out the wall they wanted to hang the TV on was just a partition, no studs, so it wasn't possible to hang. Thankfully, suddenly it was fine to keep the TV on the TV stand. The danger had passed. I offered to pay the setup man the 300 RMB for his efforts, and he very kindly shook his head and had his hands and head no, and then left. 5 minutes later, our school liaison called and said, "You must pay the serviceman." I told her I tried to pay him, and he refused. She said, "Well, you must pay him for his trouble. Give him 100." I said I was happy he tried, so I would give him 200, and she said, 200? Why? He didn't do anything. So now I've learned the price in China for not doing anything is roughly $12.50, never $25. The following 2 days were more trips out to the wreck ship, IKEA on Saturday, Walmart on Sunday. Then Monday, our luggage arrived. All was good except the internet, which was terrible. Danielle left for Shenzhen, and I ordered an expensive booster part, which didn't help, for the internet, and then had the school technicians come. They explained to me that the free Wi-Fi was terrible, and our Amazon Fire Stick, which allowed us access to all our US-based streaming services, was not permitted and wouldn't work in China. I took pictures of it. I took, I think, to turn us into the police. So now I have a huge, beautiful, really beautiful TV that has no purpose. I sat alone in the apartment with no internet, no TV, no movies, basically sitting on the floor, rocking back and forth, like we used to do back in the 70s before they discovered entertainment. Danielle came home early Saturday morning, cursed at our situation, and then a miracle happened. Suddenly, everything worked. The Fire Stick, the internet, the movies, the TV shows. I don't know why it worked. I don't know why it didn't work. I can't ask anyone, but for now, We've survived the storms. We've outfitted our little home, as comfortable, in some cases more than our little home in Kuwait. Our lives are becoming settled. We can see how we can survive here. Slowly, we will begin moving forward. Slowly, the adventures will come. So that's it, guys. Miss all my Kuwaiti friends, miss all my Notre Dame friends. Hope you have good adventures and hope you all come visit me soon. That's all I got to say. Bye.